They are, although it's also worth pointing out that many of the profits that the large energy companies are announcing, and the ones today you talked about from BP, relate not to the supply of energy to households, which is price capped, and which isn't therefore a very profitable line of business for the big energy companies, but is their production business. And one way to think about this very simply is that we're in a situation of economic war with Russia. They haven't declared war on Britain, and Britain hasn't declared war on Russia. But Putin, as you say, is using energy prices as a way to squeeze the British public and in turn to squeeze the British government to try to discourage us and other European countries from supporting the Ukrainian government. But of course, it's us as individuals who are paying the price for that economic war. There are different kinds of companies that can make good profits during wartime. It might not be fashionable to think like this, but companies that manufacture weapons, they're very profitable in times of war. And companies that manufacture energy can be very profitable in times of economic conflict like this. And that's what we're seeing now. What's uncomfortable about that is, of course, at the same time as we're feeling the squeeze, the company's production businesses are making, as you say, record profits. We can feel uncomfortable about that, and it can feel almost immoral. But I actually think it's almost more helpful to focus on what we can control rather than what we can't. There's very little that we can do as households to reduce how much energy we can consume, turn the thermostat down a bit more when winter comes, if you can. But apart from that, unfortunately, it's incumbent on all of us to make a plan to start saving. Saving is the new spending, and now's the time to rein in your spending so that you can start to save as much as possible ahead of a very difficult winter ahead.
I mean, there'll be a lot of people watching this saying, I can't make ends meet at the end of the month right now, already with food prices going up. And the cost of everything goes up when energy prices go up, because pretty much everything uses energy to be manufactured, stored and delivered. So when people, and, you know, I don't have any particular figure on how many people are feeling like that, but it's a vast number of people already, and it's the summer months, reaching into overdraft, falling further and further into debt. What can they do?
The latest estimates, to put those sentiments into statistics, the latest statistics is that something like a half of UK households come January next year will experience energy poverty. Why so bad in January? Because January is a cold month, so heating bills rocket after Christmas. So just after you've finished paying for Christmas, January is going to hit. The average UK household will be spending a quarter of a take-home salary just heating and lighting their home in that month. I think exactly as you say, Alex, this is not a situation that most households can afford. Those who are hardest up are already struggling. Those on average incomes or middle incomes are going to face a brutal reckoning over the next 6 to 12 months. We've already seen the government do some things for the poorest households and a little bit for the rest of us. I think it's likely that the government's going to have to do quite a lot more, but it's also really important that we all take every step that we can. Now, that may not be enough. We may still have some really tough situations with households going into debt, with households unable to pay their bills when they become due, and with people in a very anxious state and rising levels of mental illness, of stress, and that's even before mortgage interest rates kick in. I wish I had good news for you. The only thing I can say again is, make a plan. It's very hard to save money in January for January. But if you start today and start making those cuts, start thinking about having the cheapest summer holiday you can, make sure you're not buying things you don't need to buy, now's the time to make those economizings. And use the tools that are out there. You know, use the free tools on the internet. You can use our service, Now.co. There are other free tools out there. Figure out what you're spending money on as a household, make a list of all the things, and figure out where you can cut, when you can cut, and make those cuts today. Now's the time to budget, because if you leave it until the Christmas time, you'll regret it.